Uncertainty is reaching an unnerving level yet again for tens of thousands of government workers today. Could a new decision by the Supreme Court force them out of their jobs? The court has ruled that the Trump administration can now at least temporarily move ahead with plans to slash the federal workforce and dismantle federal agencies. In the lone dissenting opinion, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said this was the wrong decision at the wrong moment, especially given what little the court knows about what is actually happening on the ground. She went on to write, for some reason, this court sees fit to step in now and release the president's wrecking ball at the outset of this litigation. Joining us now, Dan Balz, Washington Post chief correspondent. James Sample is Hofstra University law professor and former attorney at the Brennan Center for Justice's Democracy Program. So, James, the White House is claiming a definitive victory here, I guess full steam ahead, that gives them sweeping powers. Is that what this says?
It doesn't actually say that. As with many of the decisions from the Supreme Court's so-called shadow docket, it says almost nothing in terms of rationale. But the impact of what it does as opposed to what it says, because it says very little. This is a very brief, unassigned order, but the effect of this is extraordinary. The effect is that, for now, the administration can move ahead with its plans to restructure, massively restructure, the scope of the federal government, meaning that thousands, hundreds of thousands potentially, of federal employees will soon be losing their jobs, and the administration will be able to restructure numerous administrative agencies. This was a big, big step by the administration early on in the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and the lower courts said, either no or at least not so fast. The Supreme Court said green light.
So green light, and even if ultimately there is a more fulsome review of the policy, and let's not kid ourselves, this is about the executive power and the balance of power that's outlined in the Constitution, a lot can be done between now and then.
A lot can absolutely be done between now and then. And if you are one of those employees, and this was one of the arguments that the challengers advanced in this case, once they've lost their job, once time has passed, and it's going to take a long time to litigate this fully, if they ever get to the point where this is declared illegal, which seems relatively unlikely with the current court, even if they were to reach that point, as the challengers put it, you can't unscramble that egg.
Does history show us, Dan, that it's very easy and can be very fast to shut down an agency or tell a bunch of employees you don't work here anymore and turn off their access cards, their key cards, than it is to rebuild an agency or get people back to work?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with James. I think that we know that this court has a deference to executive power and has ruled in a variety of ways over a period of time to give the executive more power. We also know that this has been the strategy of the Trump administration in this second term in a way that they were not able to do in the first term, and that is to try to get a control over the executive branch that they feel would give them the powers that they have wanted to, in a sense, have their will versus the bureaucracy. And let us say over a long period of time, this is declared as not legal, that they can't do this without congressional approval or without other restraint. At that point, it's going to be way too late. You can't unscramble the egg. You can't unring the bell. You can't unravel things that have been done. You can't put it back together. And so I think the strategy of the administration has been clear from the beginning, which is to issue their executive orders, move ahead with what they are trying to do, let it get tied up in the courts, assume that the Supreme Court is going to be more deferential to them than not, and to go ahead and move as quickly as they can and see what the consequences are.
Your colleague, Dan, at the Washington Post reports that agency employees reacted to the Supreme Court's ruling order with grief, despair, and anger, according to interviews with half a dozen staffers and chat records obtained by the Washington